could have used. But you did fine. You did fine. I have a spoiler alert. If you want to increase the number of community college entrants who go through the graduate school, catch your sample population when they enter the community college at whatever level, part-time, full-time, give each one a monitor to ensure that they attend and they properly plan their courses, and that they know that you help them fill out the financial aid forms and the other forms that they have to do, and you then walk them through. You don't let them say, oh, I couldn't come yesterday because my babysitter didn't show up. Oh, I had to stay out because my car wouldn't start. Or I overslept. All the excuses are rampant. Or my work schedule was changed from the morning to the afternoon. All of these kinds of things, all of them legitimate excuses, but they need somebody to say, come here. Now, what's your problem? What can I do to help you? Let's see if we can get you through. I just gave the whole topic of the conference and closed it up for you. But look, Dean Philpott mentioned with his talk, navigating the system is a problem for someone. Systemic planning, these are the terms that he used. They have diverse goals. These are the terms. Well, if they have a monitor, like you, my baby, and you're coming with me, and I'm not going to let you go, they need that. And it would work very wonderfully. Anyway, that's not my topic. My topic is research on community colleges in and by community college people. College, first thing you have to know about research in community colleges is that college funding does not depend on student learning. They don't get their money whether students learn or they don't learn. And that's right where they started. And the college staff, another thing is, including the top administrators, they don't want methodology, they don't want lengthy reports, they won't read past 2 pages. That sounds familiar. We know somebody like that. And they want brief reports. One of the most successful institutional researchers I ever knew was from San Jose City College, and he would periodically come in and have a chair. He would periodically send 2 pages, one sheet, 2 sides, out to everybody in the college, all the faculty and all the administrators, and he would have one note, one finding that he had, comparing something with others. They would read it. He would get reactions from it. Anyway, that's for that. Sources of research, in addition to the institutional researchers, by the way, based on the what I'm looking at here, there are a lot of institutional researchers in community colleges. There are at least 4 of them on the program here. So that means that that's a wonderful sample. But otherwise, that's a new phenomenon for community colleges to have institutional researchers. For too many decades, institutional research in the college was fill out the request for data that is coming in from some agency. And they would hand it to who? Let's see, oh yeah, you're not doing anything, are you? Go fill out this form. Well, what we have found is there's about 100 professors in universities who study community colleges exclusively. There's about 100 more who occasionally study community colleges, you're filling it in with something else. There are a lot of state agency level people studying community college. And there's a lot of research being done by graduate students who are acting as their own designers and data collectors. Now, a high percentage of these graduate students are simultaneously working in colleges. And they are trying to do one thing: finish their studies and get their degree. And that's the goal. And anything else is just gratuitous. And so they design their own studies, and very little research that they do is connected to prior studies. Or they'll do a thesis, hypotheses, methodology, and literature review, and all of those, makes it look like official research. And then when they get through all that, they'll go do some study about it. They'll go and interview 6 students that they find and say, how do you feel about your work? And what is it? Connecting it to anything else? No. Don't they know that somebody else also interviewed 6 students? And you want to compare it with those? Very rarely. But they have to use that pseudo-scientific method of the theory, hypotheses, methodology, because it makes it look like scientific research. And that's what you need to survive in a university, like a big-time self-loving research university. You have to make it look like it's real research, even if you're only interviewing 6 of your friends. But there are state and national faculty associations that conduct studies. They're of their own type and their own groups. I should say here that reliable research costs no more than unreliable research. That is, the students, the graduate students who are working simultaneously in colleges are living in 2 worlds. I published an article about a dozen years ago with the title, Why Researchers and Practitioners Ignore Each Other Even when they're the same person. Because you have to, when you're in the graduate school milieu, you have to use certain procedures, but when you're working at the college, those are irrelevant. So I thought, by the way, if you want that, it was published in Community College Review in 2005, volume 33. Next, there's no such thing as objective inquiry. Why did the researcher pick this topic to study? Not that one. Everything, there's a bias in there all the way. But that's all right. You just have to account for those or try to limit them. One of my favorite studies was done at that university across town by some professor. Question: if there were no obstacles, what is the highest degree you would like to attain? Ooh, 88%. Bachelor's or better. Suppose that question were asked, do you expect to receive a bachelor's or higher degree within the next 6 years? What would you get? It would be different. You set it up differently. What is the highest, if there were no obstacles, what the highest degree you'd like? And what about, do you expect to receive a degree in the next 6 years? That comes out differently. Sampling. There was a study came around quite recently, and what they did is, this is a group in Wisconsin, they sent out questions to 750,000 community college students. And it's called a blast survey. They just threw it to the world. And they got a final response rate of 4.5%.
Wow.
Well, yeah, what do you expect? throw it all out there. Yeah, that still leads about 34,000 students responded. 34,000 students, that's a big number. It's also a ridiculous number. If 4% of the population responded, what can you say? What can you say about what you're looking at? Well, 34,000 is bigger than 340. That's true, but it's not as valid. It's not reliable. Then, the way they excused it is as follows, quote, some colleges sought info on their student bodies as a whole, and it was not possible to obtain the data required to devise either a nationally representative or an institutionally representative sampling strategy. Colleges simply sent the survey to all of their enrolled students and offered 2 reminders as well. Okay, it doesn't work. Sampling is what's necessary if you want to know something. Wouldn't that have been nicer if they had picked out, instead of just a big mass of community colleges, they picked out, say, 24 colleges, and if they had sampled within those 24 colleges, say, 24 classrooms, maybe 1 classroom from each college, and got all of the surveys returned from that classroom because they had a faculty member or the institutional researcher or somebody stand and say, here, fill out this form. Wouldn't that have been more, what do you think? That would be better? A better sample? A better response rate? By far? And a more reliable result. When I was still practicing here, I gotta skip a little. We did studies of curriculum, students, student learning, which I'm going to skip some of that, all of that. But one thing, we learned some interesting factors. If a college has 5,000 students, and it has 30 students in a dental hygiene program, with a new population surge, and a couple of years later they have 10,000 students. How many students now are in that dental hygiene program? 30. The fixed programs, dental hygiene, automotive technology, nursing, they have a fixed number. And that's going to stay that way whether the college has 5,000 or 50,000 students. So that's, but there are size effects, not on those programs, those specific programs. Would you lock that door, please? Thank you. This is the effects that we found. The larger the college, the more likely it is to have a broader liberal arts curriculum. Why? Because if the college went from 5,000 to 10,000, the English classes, history classes, biology classes, they all got bigger. Not those nursing programs or the dental hygiene program or mechanic program, but the liberal arts themselves got bigger. And so some of the effects were in colleges with better than 6,000 students, 91% offered art history. In colleges with fewer than 1,500 students, 57% offered art history. Cultural anthropology, 83% in the big colleges, 15% in the small colleges. Interdisciplinary humanities, 71% against 26%. Dance, 40% of the large colleges offered dance. 6% of the small colleges offered dance. The liberal arts depend on college size. Okay. Transfer rates, I'm skipping over because there's a session coming up next on transfer.
You have about 15 more minutes.
Is it going to be on?
He said 15 more minutes.
Is it going to be in room 156?
Mm-hmm.
I'll be there. I got 2 minutes.
No.
Right?
Oh, no, you said 15 more minutes. You can take your time.
Dr. Cohen,
Tell
Dr.
him,
Cohen,
tell him you're 15.
15 minutes.
I thought I took.
No,
No, we want more.
Oh, well,
Go back, go back, go back.
I can go back.
Yeah.
I could talk about curriculum, I could talk about faculty,
Yes,
students,
go
what
for
would you
it.
like?
Faculty and students, why don't you talk about that?
Let me just state while I was on curriculum, let me stay right there.
Okay.
Overall, according to the National Center for Education Statistics, the liberal arts graduates, associate degree graduates, outnumber the vocational associate degree graduates by about 5 to 3. Now, you hear a whole lot about community college, oh, that's where you go if you want to learn a trade. Liberal arts are still well ahead of vocational in terms of degrees awarded. I've got all kinds of, the health, among the vocational, the health professions are very strong, like there's 200,000 of those. But among the liberal arts, the biggest ones are the psychology, sociology, interdisciplinary humanities, and so forth. Without stepping on that transfer study that's coming up, I'll tell you what, on studies of transfer that we did, we had to get a definition of transfer, which is very hard to work out, but we did it. The definition, a student enrolls, completes 12 credits in 2 years. Now that can be one course a term, or it could be 4 courses in 1 term, just so they complete 12 credits within 2 years, and then show up at a university, 4-year college. That's the definition of transfer. Now, over 10 years of study, with large samples ranging up to over 500 colleges across the country, it's amazingly consistent. In 10 years, the percent of students receiving 12 or more credits averaged just under 50%, 48%, using the definition that we use. The range between states was 11%, 40% who finished 4 courses. The percent transferring, 23. Consistently, 23% were transferred, of that group were transferring. Over 10 years, the range was only 21.5% to 25.2%. Now that's a very tight set of numbers. In other words, transfer rates were running the same year after year. So that's what we're going to talk about when we go to the other session. Anyway, I don't want to back up and start all over. Who wants to talk about curriculum, students, transfer,
Okay,
occupation?
curriculum.
What do you like?
How many people would be interested in
Yes.
hearing something on curriculum? Or
What have
questions?
you, what have you found for faculty to be able to impact the student more? You talked about holding their
Can you relay,
hand.
please?
You talked about holding their hand and pulling them through.
Stand
but
up and
what else?
relay the question.
He said sit. I stand. Whatever you say. Okay. What do you find faculty can do
To impact students,
to impact student retention
or even graduation, more
and
than
graduation?
You mean individual faculty or the whole
Yeah.
faculty?
Individual.
Individual faculty.
Yes.
You only control what you're looking at. You only control your space. So what can you do? Well, you can emphasize concepts. I mean, that depends on what course you're teaching. But you have to emphasize concepts that will carry over as transfer. In other words, the beginning, the first lessons, the first years of whatever the curriculum is. So you don't have a whole lot of control unless you try to gear what you're teaching to the concepts that they're going to need in the next level up. That's the best I can do for them.
Thank you.
Anything
And
else?
some other questions. Doesn't have to be on curriculum, it can be on.
I'll turn my back and you get the question.
Okay.
That's the way I look
Yeah,
at it.
okay, yes.
What can the researcher slash practitioner that ignores himself do as a graduate student that would further build connection and provide, results in research that really makes a difference?
Okay, what can the practitioner do to conduct research that really will make the difference? Sort of connect the two. You said the practitioner and the graduate student research are often the same person but divided. What can they do to be connected? Did I get it?
Yes.
Well, first thing you can do is be very careful about choosing a topic. And don't just say, the topic I'm going to choose is I'm going to ask the students in my class what they think about the national administrator or something like that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Pick a topic that you can defend. One that's been studied and you want to extend it. Remember I mentioned those 10 years of transfer studies. Well, pick up a transfer study using the same definition that we use and see what you can get. Or the curriculum study. Get a sample of colleges, even in your own state. If you want to do a statewide sample, it's easy to conduct. What is this? How many students are enrolled in the liberal arts in the state of California? Or in Southern California, pick some sample. Or in 50 colleges in California and Arizona, you know. And compared to the number who are enrolled in vocational courses. That's a nice study. It's very rarely done, believe it or not. Unfortunately, the National Center for Education Statistics collects those data. But you can use a smaller sample. They use nationwide data. So pick a topic. And pick a topic that's bigger than I spoke to 6 students. And I asked them about their life. Pick something bigger than that. And so, yes, hi.
Hi. What interested you about community colleges that you made it your research?
Okay, what got you into studying community colleges? What connected to you?
Whoa, that's taken me back a long ways because I've been studying community colleges since 1964. That's when I got my degree. And my thesis for my degree was a study of how what is now Miami-Dade College in Florida became the first college in the South to enroll both minority, at that time it was black students, and majority students. All the colleges in the South were segregated in 1960. I went all through my schooling, elementary, high school, college, graduate school in Florida. I never sat next to a black person. They were all segregated at the time, all the way up. And so I thought, well, here's one college in Miami that was organized for all students. They weren't segregated. They had all the students enrolled in one college. Oh, that was revolutionary in 1960 when they opened. So I wanted to study, how did they get away with that? Because otherwise, it wasn't happening. And so I went and I interviewed all the board members and the faculty that they hired and came up with something very, what I thought was very interesting. It all depended on the superintendent of public instruction in the public schools of Miami. He was the key. He was taking messages from the board that wanted the integration to the broader community, many of whom were very opposed to the whole idea. So I found one key person, which is exactly what the theory in sociology would be. Find the person who's the communication link between the faction that wants something and the faction that don't want it. Who's carrying the messages back and forth? Not standing and screaming at each other, but who's the person who's carrying the messages? That was it. That was what I thought. That was it.
But did you find that what was offered at the school was equal to what was offered at, segregated community colleges? Was it pretty much equal?
So were the curricular offerings the same in the integrated community college as, let's say, segregated
Oh, yeah,
community college?
yeah. They did the same. They had the same curriculum. They had very few occupational programs because occupational programs take longer to set up. They cost more money. To cost a lot of money. They didn't start out with nursing programs and auto mechanics. Those things cost money. I mean, liberal arts is wonderful. I can increase the liberal arts curriculum, open the door, bring in another 20 students. We got 20 chairs in here. I've just increased the size of my liberal arts program by 40%. That's all you have to do. Give me a bigger piece of chalk I can mark. But you can't do that with occupational. Not if you want to do it right. It takes workstations and certificated faculty. I can't grab a part-timer, a graduate student. Hey, we've got an extra section of English opening up. Would you like to teach it? Oh yeah, here's a textbook. There's the classroom. See you later. Which, not incidentally, since most of the faculty now are part-timers, that's unfortunately, typically, the way it works at this time. Anyway, now?
Yes, that's
Okay.
perfect. Thank you so